'Tis I. Hey everyone, glad to see you back, glad to see you looking fresh. So, there's a brand new Fire Emblem game out, and I am quite enjoying it. As you can see behind me, I am a solid fan of Fire Emblem. I have been since Awakening back in 2013. That's my first game into this franchise, and I'm sure with a lot of people, it was theirs as well. A fantastic franchise, one that I adore, and I always look forward to the new games. And with this game in particular, there is a big plot point in it discussing and relishing in the franchise's history. A long, long history, spanning all the way back to 1990. So there's a lot of history, a lot of characters to fall in love with and enjoy. This game, like I said, relishes and going back and talking about characters like Marth and Ike and many other icons throughout the franchise's history. But that franchise history is a bit strange to me. And I wanted to take a minute today in this video and discuss why aren't more Fire Emblem games available. Now, you see behind me, these are just the ones available physically for the Switch. There are 4 games behind me, 2 of them sure Warrior spin-offs, and there's even another spin-off that I didn't put behind me, called Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE, which is a crossover with Shin Megami Tensei, but it's not really a crossover, it's kind of its own thing. It's a weird game. But anyways, there's 2 mainline, 2 spin-offs, and then 1 pseudo spin-off. But there's another game that came out on the Switch in the Fire Emblem Legacy, which is a remaster. I don't even say it a remaster, a port of the original Fire Emblem game, starring, of course, Marth, which, if you could believe it, is the first time that game was ever localized here in the States. Of course, there was a remake on the DS that people played, and I haven't heard the greatest reviews of it, but I never played it myself, so I don't really know how that plays, and I'm sure it's probably pretty expensive to get my hands on nowadays. Anyway, the original Fire Emblem was released on Switch in December of 2020. I hopped right on it. This is a piece of gaming history I've always wanted to try. I've always wanted to go back to see where Fire Emblem came from. One of my favorite not new franchises, but one of my favorite franchises that I currently play. The game isn't the greatest thing in the world. It's rudimentary. It's pretty bog standard. Like, you strip away everything flashy and exciting from Fire Emblem, you basically get what you expect. Like, you get interesting enough characters, but there's not a lot of depth to them, and you get maps and different classes and weapons and stuff, but there's not that much depth. For the NES or Famicom in Japan, that was enough, and it was popular enough to spawn a sequel, and that sequel made another one, and now we're here. That being said, that game only existed for less than 4 months to be bought and purchased. I was lucky enough to have it. I was lucky enough to buy it and to own it to this day. You can still play it. But for whatever reason, from December 4th to March 31st of 2021 was the only time you could buy this game. No physical release of it. There was a collector's edition, physically released, but all that had was a code for it in packaging. There was no physical game cart, nothing of the like. And I find that very disappointing because a piece of Nintendo history was released for less than 4 months. Not very flashy. Not very exciting for the franchise's anniversary that it was supposed to be for. And I can sit here and I can say release the game again. I don't know the licensing, but I assume Nintendo just owns the game. I don't know why they made it a limited release. I wish I did know. They stopped supporting it or having it even available the same day as Mario 99, which is an online game, which that is understandable why it would stop if it wasn't making money or keeping up server costs, stuff like that. It's much more understandable why that game would stop. And obviously March 31st, if you didn't know, that's the end of a fiscal year, so that's why that date was selected, I assume. If there was a time to end a game's sales, that would be the day. But 4 months? 4 months. You know, I'm willing to bet anyone who plays Fire Emblem now, anytime they mention Marth, anytime they acknowledge the history past, Marth always comes up. He's like the poster child for the franchise. Which, if it was in my idea, I would pick Anna because she's the only returning character through multiple games. But, whatever. Marth is the chosen boy, is the poster child. He's the one that was chosen for Smash first. He was been there ever since Melee, and he'll continue to be so, and that's where I think most people think of Marth is from Smash. He's the sword fighter in Smash. He's the poster child for sword fighters. Most people haven't played the original Fire Emblem. Most people haven't played the remake on the DS. And they were given the opportunity to play it, and they can't now? I think that's a real shame. And this isn't the only example. There are still multiple Fire Emblem games that were never localized here in the West. And many Fire Emblem games that are very, very hard to get your hands on. And I think that it's a shame, because I'm sure people want to play these games. I want to play these games, so I don't see why others wouldn't. I think that giving the opportunity, people would absolutely want to play them, and with how big of a franchise Nintendo wants Fire Emblem to be, and Fire Emblem is getting, I think it's smart to release these games and have them available for people to play. Any number of these games. I've talked about it in my games that need HD 2D remakes. I picked Genealogy of the Holy War. That seems like a really, really well-regarded game that never got localized here. And I think that's a shame. And we were lucky that the second game did get localized here, is Fire Emblem Echoes, which is a game I have talked praises of and told people to support, because I want more of those types of games, you know? I want more, the Echoes franchise, if that's what we're going to call it, to make more of those. Remake old Fire Emblem games. Bring them into modern light. Because Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadows of Valentia was a very different Fire Emblem game. At its core, it was very similar, obviously. It's a Fire Emblem game. It had more stuff going on top of it, and it created a better experience to live now. And it's a game that I fully support and I want more of. The common one is to re-release or, remaster the two games that start Ike. And I think that's a great idea as well. But I honestly keep wanting those games that ever got localized here more. Because even if those games on the GameCube are hundreds of dollars, I don't think they're that much, but they're close to purchase and buy and play now. It's still possible to do, whereas those games, to do it totally legit, isn't possible. That is where we're at with Fire Emblem right now. I didn't want to be so much of a downer, because I am honestly loving Fire Emblem Engage. I knew I would. It's more Fire Emblem. It's back to the basics. I'm enjoying it quite a lot. Definitely already a contender for Game of the Year. Obviously, it's like the first game I've played this year, so it's not a guaranteed, and it's an easy pick right now. That's where we're at. I want more people to experience these old games as well, if they want. If they don't have to, they don't want to. But even if they just make a remake of it, that'd be something. But just the fact that 4 months, I don't think I'll ever understand. That's that. That's the legacy of the first Fire Emblem, and legacy of Marth, I guess. A character that, I guess, other than the DS, had his original game in the States for a measly, not even full 4 months. Marth, I wish you better. He's right there. He's right there. He's front and center. Oh, he's not center, but he's front. He's the biggest face on the... I don't get it. That's where I'm going to end it. I think Marth deserves better with his game. Obviously, he has plenty of support outside that game, but have you played the original Fire Emblem? Let me know. Would you want to see more Fire Emblem games? Let me know. This small corner of the internet, if I can make a little noise, I think that'd be good. So, anyways, thank you so very much for watching. As always, like this if you like this, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you at some point.